afternoon YouTube, X-File 2708 back again with a weekly watches video. 5 movies watched this week, so kind of my my average number for watches at the moment, so not too bad a week. Couple of really good movies, couple of not so good movies, including an absolute stinker that I watched last night, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. But we started the week, guys, on a really positive note with this movie from 2006 starring Paul Walker. A really good action film that was recommended to me by my dad. And it's Running Scared, and it runs for 122 minutes, this one. The synopsis on the back of the box: for over a decade, Joey Gazelle has successfully juggled his conflicting notes as loving family man and low-ranking mobster. However, when Joey ignores the mob's explicit instructions to dispose of the gun using the fatal shooting of a corrupt cop during a bungled drugs operation, he unwittingly puts his loved ones in danger. Joey decides to stash the weapon in his own basement, just in case he should need some future collateral against his employers. Unfortunately, Joey's 10-year-old son Nicky and his best friend Oleg stumble across the hidden gun. Worse still, Oleg decides to use it to shoot his physically abusive stepfather, who also happens to be connected to the Russian mafia. There we go. Thus, Joey is forced to embark on a nightmarish 18-hour journey to find Oleg and the gun before his own gang, the Russians, or the bent cop, hell-bent on profiting from the missing weapon, get there first. So that was probably, let's have a look, my second favourite of the week, this one. So I rated this one 3.5 out of 5 on my Letterboxd. And my little letterbox review, so I've started leaving reviews, guys. Always good to look back on them when I do my weekly watches, and that it refreshes my memory as well. So my Letterboxd review, absolutely love this one. Excellent crime drama action film, gritty and brutal from the opening scene, but a real heartwarming tale under the surface. Excellent part played by both Paul Walker and Vera Farmiga, who I believe is the mum in the Conjuring movies, as well as the mum in the Orphan films. Great action throughout, and love the slightly grainy style and colours this was filmed in, which all adds to the atmosphere of the movie. Rated this a 3.5 out of 5, but would easily say a 3.75 if I could rate in quarters, which is a little bugbear of mine with Letterboxd, but there we go. Some movies that kind of fall in between the halves that you're allowed to rate. So that was the first watch of the week, guys. Next one. This was the second recommendation from my dad. So that was at the same time as Running Scared. So we'd had a chat several months ago. These were recommendations, so I hopped on to Music Magpie and ordered them both. So figured I'd watch them days in succession. And it is Texas Killing Fields. So this is a movie from 2011. It's supposed to be inspired by true events. A haunting thriller following homicide detective Sauder, played by Sam Worthington, and his partner Detective Hay, played by Jeffrey D. Morgan, who you may well know as Negan from The Walking Dead, as they track a sadistic serial killer dumping his victims' mutilated bodies in a nearby marsh locals call the Killing Fields. Though the fields are outside their jurisdiction, Detective Hay is unable to turn his back on solving the gruesome murders. Despite his partner's warnings, he sets out to investigate the crimes. Before long, the killer changes the game and begins hunting the detectives, teasing them with possible clues at the crime scene while always remaining one step ahead. when familiar local girl Anne, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, goes missing, the detectives find themselves racing against time to catch the killer and save the young girl's life. Now, this one runs 100 minutes, so let's have a look and see what I said on Letterboxd. So we have, where are we? Texas Killing Fields. Okay, a very odd and underwhelming film in general. The lineup of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Sam Worthington, Chloe Grace Moretz had the potential for it to be good, but sadly the story is bitty and all over the place and just doesn't seem to flow well. There's even an odd bit part for British drama actor Stephen Graham, who you'll probably remember from the likes of This Is England. But his part in this film, he's got a Texan accent, which does not work well at all. It sounds all kind of odd and out of place. If you've ever seen Stephen Graham acting, you'll know he's got quite a strong, I think, Liverpudlian accent. So to hear him playing a Texan with a thick American Texan accent just didn't work for me at all. Very little positive I can say about the film. Supposed to be based on a true story, but whatever they had to add or change to make this a full-blown movie just didn't deliver. Very much a bang average, below average film that sadly I wouldn't recommend. So there we go, guys. That was Texas Killing Fields from 2011. Next up, from 2003, first time watch for me of The Hitcher 2. So this one stars C. Thomas Howell, who was in the original Hitcher movie with Rutger Hauer, Carrie Wehrer and Jake Busey, who is Gary Busey's son and very reminiscent of Gary Busey, I thought. Right, back of the box on this one, guys. Still haunted by the frightening events of his past, Jim Halsey, brackets C. Thomas Howell, goes back to confront his demons, joined by his girlfriend Maggie. The two soon find themselves travelling down the same desolate stretch of West Texas Road where the original nightmare began. After encountering a psychotic hitchhiker, Jack, played by Jake Busey, Jim and Maggie soon discover that their journey has turned into a frightening race for survival in this unnerving, heart-pounding adventure. And this one runs... where are we? 1 hour 29 minutes for that one. So, Hitcher 2. And again, hop on to Letterboxd and I'll give you some blurb. Hitcher 2. Right, short and sweet this one. Wasn't impressed. Letterboxd rating, bang average, 2.5 out of 5. And I put not the best of sequels to one of my favourite movies of the 80s. Stars C. Thomas Howell, who was also in the original Hitcher movie. Also stars Jake Busey, son of Gary. Jake doesn't play too bad a part of the psychopathic bad guy. The film has its moments, but no more than average at best. So, kind of a dud for me. I was glad that I managed to watch it. Like I say, huge fan of the original Hitcher movie. Probably can't see behind, but on my pickups video that I put up yesterday, I did manage to pick up the 4K box set of the original Hitcher movie. So, like I say, big favourite of mine, that one. But sadly, Hitcher 2, a flop. So, there we go. That was the third movie of the week. And then, because I'd had such a underwhelming watch with The Hitcher 2, I then ramped things up with John Travolta and Nancy Allen in Blowout, a movie from 1981. Rewatch for me this one. Have seen it once before. Absolutely loved it. And Right, it's a Brian De Palma film. One of Brian De Palma's most acclaimed films, this brilliant fusion of the obsessive sleuthing of blow up and the conversation with themes drawn from real life political scandals, the JFK assassination, Chappaquiddick, Watergate, starts with sound technician Jack Terry, played by John Travolta, accidentally recording what might be explosive evidence of a deadly conspiracy. Brilliantly shot by the then recent Oscar winner Vilmos Zsigmond, this terrifically stylish thriller co-stars Nancy Allen as the eyewitness who becomes the unwitting target of John Lithgow's serial killer as he ruthlessly attempts to bury all the evidence. It's also a film about the filmmaking process. Terry is originally hired to work on the low-budget slasher film Coed Frenzy, which, if you've seen this film, then it's quite an interesting opening sequence, let's say. And later turns his technical skills to much more serious use as he tries to reconstruct a political assassination on film in a way that will stand up in court. And this one runs 108 minutes, so let's see what my Letterboxd review was. Right, Blowout. Second time watching this now, and an excellent conspiracy crime thriller. Brilliant performances from both John Travolta and Nancy Allen, as well as John Lithgow as the main bad guy. Written and directed by Brian De Palma, definitely a director I'll be delving more into off the back of this movie. And like I say, Letterboxd rating, guys, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. So definitely my favourite watch of the week for Blowout. And then, we're going to need to superimpose because this one I streamed last night. So by the power of video editing, last night I watched, for my sins, Mouse of Horror. And it was a horror, I can tell you. It was horrendous. Where are we? I did waffle on this one a bit, so I'll read to you what the synopsis of the movie is. A group of young adults walk in the grounds of a fair after hours when they suddenly realise that they are being stalked by a killer mouse. Directed by Brendan Patrizio. Came out this year, 2025, and runs 83 minutes. No word of a lie, guys, it felt like 183 minutes. It was fucking awful. It did have some plus points to it, which for me was the some of the visuals and the kills themselves. It kind of took a kind of, I'm guessing, an influence from Terrifier. It seemed to want to go overboard with the gore and the detail, so that wasn't too bad. But let me read you the review that I put onto Letterboxd. So, super low budget B movie, visually looks okay with some decent gore for the kills. However, here we go, you're sitting comfortably. The audio in places in this movie is absolutely terrible. An early example being where one of the girls is running away, so she's running around in the fairground, so she's running on concrete, and whoever's decided to do the audio for it, it's clear they must have used something that they've obviously added the sound effects afterwards, but rather than it sounding like someone running on a concrete pavement, it sounds as though they've got like an oven tray and they're just literally tapping their fingers on the oven tray to try and simulate her footsteps. So it sounds completely different to what it should do, and it's out of sync as well. That was just one of the very early examples as to how bad the audio is in this movie. Again, with some of the kill sequences, the audio spoils what could be fun and watchable with screams and shouting clearly having been added afterwards and in some places out of sync. Other scenes, background noise from the ocean or the fairground is far too high and you can barely hear the dialogue or not hear it at all. Which, you know, considering how bad this film is, not being able to hear some of the dialogue probably isn't a bad thing, if I'm honest. The mouse killer is creepy enough and loosely imitates Art the Clown, as I mentioned previously, with his movement and hand gestures. Cool looking killer mouse mask as well. So you'll see from the picture that I've put up at the movie poster, the killer's mask. It's kind of an over the top, creepy, monstrous mouse with blood splatter, etc. on it. Really cool looking mask, and if they ever released it, or somebody decided that they'd design one, it's something I'd quite happily have in the movie room as a talking piece. Quite a cool looking mask. There's also a pointless drawn out fight scene towards the end, which is, for some reason, the mouse killer is partnered up with somebody in a Winnie the Pooh blood and honey mask. So I've no idea if they're supposed to be related, but for some reason there ends up being this stupidly long drawn out fight between these two people rather than them going after the teenagers that are left in the fairground. I've no idea how long the fight actually lasted, but for me it felt, you know, a good 10 minutes, and the ending of the fight, if you've ever got the nerve or the fascination to watch it, the end of this fight is probably one of the most ludicrous endings I've ever seen for a fight between two killers. I won't spoil anything more, but if you do get the chance to watch it, even if you flick forward, you don't watch the rest of the movie and you maybe watch the last 15-20 minutes just to see that that fight scene. Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous. And then I'll go on to say, honestly, it's a mess of a movie, which unless you're a hardcore, low-budget movie lover, then I'd say avoid at all costs. And like I say, 2 out of 5 for my letterbox rating. And quite honestly, I could even, this morning, after thinking about it, drop that down to a 1.5. It was terrible. And you know me, guys, I like my so bad it's good movies, but this definitely wasn't one of them. Unless, you know, I'll pick it up in a bundle deal later on down the line. It's certainly not a film that I'll be getting on physical media anytime soon, so if at all. So there we go, guys, that's my weekly watches for the week. So highs and lows, low obviously being Mouse of Horrors, absolute stinker, but yeah, towards the end of the week finishing on a high with John Travolta and Nancy Allen in Blowout. So there we go, guys. Let me know in the comments if you've seen any of those. If you've seen Mouse of Horrors, or if you're tempted after my my very positive review of it to give it a watch, please let me know in the comments. Always nice to have that interaction with you guys. And a quick plug as well for Ollie Loves Film, his live stream again tonight. I've watched it the last couple of weeks. I believe there's Ollie, Sam, Tim, possibly Roy, and 1 or 2 special guests on the stream tonight. So link in the channel to Ollie Loves Films, and that'll be, I think, going live from 7:30 this evening. So if you've got time to spare, you know, whether it's jumping on for half an hour or potentially for the 3 hours that that last week's one was, then yeah, always nice to see you guys in the comments and interact with you. So there we go, guys. As always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll be back later on in the week with another video. Bye for now, guys.